Hey guys, I am John Carrick, author of Legacy of a Mad Scientist and The Legend of Ashley Fox. Two awesome science fiction fantasy stories for you here on YouTube as well as on Amazon and Smashwords. You can download them, buy them as paperbacks, or listen to them right here on YouTube as audiobooks. But today we're looking at MARCVS #1. I was really excited about this book since yesterday, since I found out it existed yesterday. And I really wanted to read it because this is a lot like one of my favorite novels that I keep out here every day for you guys. I just read it again recently, or I listened to the audiobook again recently. This is The Robe by Lloyd C. Douglas. And I am a huge Conan the Barbarian fan, a huge sword and sorcery fan. I love medieval tales. I love ancient history, stuff about Rome. Rome is ancient history. It really is. I don't know why I'm showing you the middle of the book like it's something special. But this book is about Marcellus Gallio, who was a Roman tribune in the Roman army. There's a lot of things about Rome that are very similar to today's world. You know, it's not like Rome was a bunch of savages out of Africa. The Jews would have you believe that the Romans were idiots. No, the Jews did not come first. The Greeks came first. The Jews stole everything they learned from the Greeks. Most of Hebrew is downloaded from Greek. There's a reason I'm getting into this. The Jews own your media today. And the reason I'm so excited about this book and so excited about crowdfunding in general is that it is the best way to break the Jew monopoly over white media. And I don't just mean in America, I mean England, Spain, France. The Jews run your world and they are trying to run you out of it. And people are finally starting to wake up to it. Everyone wants to blame someone else. They want to blame the Saudis for the Marburg thing. It's not, it's the Jews. Look up the Kalergi plan. I know half of you probably already turned this off already, that's fine. I didn't want to do this so early, but this is by a guy named Scott Polachek, and it's drawn by a different fellow. The artist's name is Chase Cowan, right up here at the top. And I was way more excited about this book because I thought it was going to be like The Robe. The Robe is about Marcellus Gallio, who puts Jesus to death at the behest of the Jews. The Jews, remember, King Herod murdered all the babies and Jesus had to go on the run because King Herod, a Jew, was out murdering babies just like they're doing today. Nothing's changed. Nothing has changed. Only now, instead of there being a Rome to stand up to the Jews are literally on top of the world. We have to stop them. We have to stop them. We need final solutions. This story I'm a little disappointed by because this said it was the story about Marcellus Longinus, the guy who kills a Christ. And it is kind of about that. It's also about this guy named Gideon something. He is a journalist. And he is investigating this story of Marcus Longinus as being an immortal who is still alive. I was really hoping for something transformative, something uplifting, something, Jesus as a guest star. But that's not the story that this is. This is kind of a sci-fi movie pitch. This is definitely this comic. I don't know the whole story. I only know the first issue. This first issue doesn't advance a lot, unfortunately. It's stuck doing a lot of establishing work. In the beginning, we're told the story about the journalist who was embedded with the forces in Afghanistan. I will give Chase Cowan this. I saw the... Now I'm spacing on the name of it. Carmangal? No, it wasn't Carmangal. There's a big base. Kabul? No, Kabul is the city. There's a big base in Afghanistan. They did a Scott Eastwood movie about it. And it's just like this, where it's the only flat area that they could set up a place big enough to store trucks and land helicopters. I think this is in the Korangal Valley. And it's surrounded on every side by these high mountaintops where the Taliban would climb up and just shoot at soldiers for fun because they're there, because that's how war is done. And if you set up a base in a unprotected area like this, you kind of deserve what you get. I'm sorry. Afghanistan was a stupid idea. There's a lot of reasons. And here's an interesting, well, I'll get to this scene when we get to it. First, the reporter gets chewed out by the commanding officer for being a reporter in a war zone. Okay, it's an establishing scene. It doesn't advance the story at all. He gets shown to a room, and then the guy comes out and tells them they're leaving at 3 a.m. So our two biggest panels so far have been, we got this one panel, these 2-page backstory, which is really a flashback about how we got here. And then this is this is not a flashback. This is the present. It's exposition set against black. This is a flashback. This tells the story of how this guy lost his eye, what happened that he lost his eye. We get a big splash page. This is a Sal Buscema across the top, 2 double-page spread with extra panels across the bottom. Sal Buscema, I'm giving him credit for that because he is the oldest comic book. That's where I found it, was in his books. I never saw John Buscema do that. Where John Buscema would do a double-page spread, but it would all be one image. Sal Buscema would do a double-page spread and put a column of panels over here, a column of panels over here, or across the bottom or across the top. And I thought that was just... I'm not big on novelty inside the comic book. Like here we've got some stacked panels and some stacked panels. I don't care. It's just dead space. You're just wasting space. You could have fit more story in there. I don't think it's necessary to do that kind of thing, like Image, like Todd McFarlane, where you get this wide variety of panels. I don't give a shit. You're not maximizing the space on the page because you're still, see, he's doing this inset panel up here where he cuts something off, but then we've got this big panel of this guy's face. And I don't, look, this inset panel shit, you're just trying too hard. You're not really, I know it's how comics are done now, but some of it, there's a reason it was easy. There's a reason it started the way it did. Here we've got a montage, he's basically exposition, narration. He's telling you what happened in the past and how he went out with the team and they found a bunch of marijuana plants and they got shot at. This is them getting shot at. Where's them finding the marijuana plants? Yeah, no, this is not marijuana. This is them getting shot at, and he's remembering the scene from the movie with Alan Arkin, In-Laws, where they do Serpentine, Maury, Serpentine, which was a very funny scene, but it's just, it's all so tiresome. It's not advancing the story. I get that he's quoting a movie, and I'm sorry I'm giving this guy a bad review. I don't mean to be. It's because he got my hopes up. And I hope the second book is more of... And here's a big thing. I'm working on something just like this. So please, again, forgive me for not giving this a glowing review. But I'm working on something very similar. It's a little bit like this and Trencher. Trencher was Heaven's Bounty Hunter. That's a little bit what I'm doing with my Valkyrie story. Only Jesus is in it and Odin is in it. And Jesus is Odin's son. Thor is Odin's son. Apollo is Odin's son. Odin is the All-Father. Odin is Zeus and Jupiter. And Odin never demanded his people sacrifice their children. That was a demon. So this is them getting shot at, and he's doing the serpentine thing. Then they see the marijuana, and they talk about the marijuana. And it wouldn't be marijuana, it would be poppies. I don't know why they included marijuana instead of poppies. I'm sure they're growing marijuana in Afghanistan. There's such a thing as Afghan Kush. But the real money is in heroin. Here's something you may not know, America. China does not use opiates for medicine. Asia does not use opiates in their medical treatments. The West does. We use anesthesia and knock people out for surgeries and whatnot. I don't know how they do it in Asia. I guess they do it while they're awake. You got me. I suppose at this point they do use anesthesia, but for a long time they didn't, and heroin was only sold to the West. So make of that what you will. Here we go. He's back in the rear, and this is an interesting thing. I have to back up because this is important. So here he meets this guy, MARCVS. And this guy, you can tell his text is is not sans serif. It is a serif font. It is a Times New Roman sort of font. Let me hold this up really close to the camera for you. And so this is the guy. He had us thinking he was going to be a giant, but obviously if he's the soldier who'll kill Jesus, he's not going to be a giant. But he's also out here doing nonsense, like he's involved in shit. And this guy Gideon is looking for him. This guy Gideon thinks he knows something about him and is convinced that there's a story. He's some kind of Lois Lane. I don't know yet what this comic is going for. I don't know what its goal is yet. But here we get the reporter out with the troops again. And I don't know why we have this grayscale page. There's a lot of smoke. These are the Arabians. And one of them, Afghanis, one of them launches a rocket at the soldiers. And this is where the guy loses his eye. See, again, this is a cool panel, I guess, where you see the rocket coming in the guy's eye. And then it doesn't kill him. Like, so this rocket hits him, apparently in the face. But it was a dud, so it doesn't blow up. And it just hit him, and it's the physical damage. I think the physical damage, it should have hit the ground in front of him and splashed rocks up into his face, because I think the physical damage of getting hit with a rocket in the head would probably kill you. But he gets evac'd out of the war zone, and he's damaged but not dead. And then we get a scene, so this is the great reveal. We get a scene where this guy, Marcus, is talking to the Afghanis, and why didn't you kill him? And, well, it was a dud. It's not our fault. These weapons are all shit. And, well, now we have to attack all of them to kill this one reporter. And I don't know why, and I don't care. I wanted ancient Rome. I wanted the Highlander. That's what I wanted. I wanted this guy, Marcus. This guy, Marcus, is the villain. He's not supposed to be the villain. He's not the villain in Lloyd C. Douglas's book, The Robe. Marcellus Gallio is a good man who's ordered to put Jesus to death by evil Jews. And in doing so, he comes to realize that he has committed a very grave crime. He's executed an innocent man for a mob. And that doesn't sit well with him. And the rest of his life is, how does he live with that? It doesn't start with the crucifixion, but the crucifixion is the inciting incident. Jesus ain't even in this book. This character Marcus is only in it for a few panels. You could number the panels he's in on one hand. So, I have a feeling this writer bit off more than he could chew. Now I'm going to make a whole bunch of statements about statements that flatter my ego and my personal path and what I'm doing and my lack of success in the world. Because I have taken the time to learn what I'm doing, to know what I'm about, before I jump in and start doing something that will get more. Look, comics. Hey guys, so that recording aired out before I finished, and I think I had mistakenly thought that this was the end of the book. It is not. There's still a couple more pages. What's going on here? So this guy, the reporter, has been shot in the face with a rocket that didn't go off. And now the Arabs are reporting to Marcellus. This is him up here in a necktie. Why he dresses like he's from the West, I don't understand. I think he's being turned into some petty supervillain. And so one of the Arabs plunges a dagger into Marcus, and he pulls it out and says, "You can't really expect that to hurt me. I'm eternal." So he's just a supervillain. We're not getting, look, he could be the Highlander. He could be, the idea was that this guy, well, I think the idea on God's part was that he would never die, and that he would have to think about his sins, reflect on the sin of putting the Son of Man to death, Son of God to death, Son of Man, Son of God, however you want to say it. But that's not what we get. That's not what we get. I hope the second one is better, but, you really can't. Second one's autographed, so I really do hope it's better. And this is rough. I don't think I'm giving this guy a fair shake because of the book that I'm working on right now. I am working on a Secret Wars, sort of public domain Secret Wars, where I have Odin and Jesus is Odin's son, but so is Apollo and Thor, and Zeus and Jupiter are Odin. The Allfather is the Allfather. So it's a different, I've been saying so a lot. This is weird, picking up this in the middle when I'd already finished this and thought I'd said everything I needed to say. Now I'm trying to go back and get the energy of the middle of a rant. And it's not really easy. But the problem is, especially when you have characters like this, it's a reply, right? Everything is a reply to the world as it is. And when you come out with your first comic, it's your first published comic, but it's not the first comic ever made. It's certainly not the first story ever told. So everyone who's reading it is reading it with some past. Obviously, he's going for a public domain figure in Jesus. He's using a narrative. I look at the Catholic Church as sort of a public domain pantheon of saints and heroes and angels and demons, just like Marvel or DC. And why not? They're essentially the same storylines. And, I'm not going to talk so much. My last rant was really about the small hats running the world, and I don't want to get into that. It's not what I want to be about. This is Christmas. Although I did want to point out that King Herod and the Jews tried to murder baby Jesus. Let's not forget that. And then they killed him when he was older too. So the Jews are not your friends. The Jews are the problem with the entire world right now. And I'm going to fix it through telling good stories. I already did my time in the military. The wars that are being fought right now are being fought on behalf of the Jews, and that's not right. That's not good. It's not justifiable. We do have a conflicted card, and this is basically coronavirus. What would you do if the coronavirus happened? Actually, this is a little bit worse. What would you do if the coronavirus was everything they said it was and was really killing people in the first few weeks? People were dying. Would you bug out? You're 300 miles from a major metropolitan area, so semi-suburban, rural, But what would you do? Would you leave? Would you run? If you have a cabin in the woods and you could afford to go stay there for a week, it might be a good idea, but as we saw, coronavirus wasn't real. So the vaccine was way more deadly than the virus. Again, this is the Kalergi plan. Everywhere you look, it's going on all around you. So this really wasn't what I had wanted to do for today, but what good stuff do I have to talk about? It is Christmas. I am super happy. I did a great chapter last night. My chapter last night was awesome. For my story, I had a bit with 3 soldiers trapped in a hospital basement during a zombie outbreak. And they have to clear the basement from one end to the other. It's just a single hallway with doors on either side. And when they get to the end, they're faced with a conundrum. There's a bunch of bloody handprints going up the stairwell into the rest of the hospital, but there's also an open door to a loading dock. And they have to make a decision between the 3 of them. 2 of them are going up the stairwell, and one guy has to go out to the loading dock and clear it by himself and close the door behind him so nothing can get in behind him. And how do you decide that? You've got a commanding officer, 2 subordinates. One subordinate is the new guy. So it's an ensemble sort of thing. It's like a 5-6 man team, and he's the new guy. He's the new soldier. He's not fresh out of boot camp, but he's new to this unit, and he takes it upon himself to volunteer because he realizes that the other guy could never volunteer to leave his commanding officer. The commanding officer won't order him as the new guy to do this really deadly duty. He would either order his subordinate, which would be a shitty thing to do, or he would go do it himself. And so the new guy takes it upon himself to volunteer. And that way he gets a chance to show off. And he's a badass, so he can volunteer. He's not a pussy. When you're not a pussy, you can volunteer for shit. It's a good feeling. It's nice to be competent. So, again, this is a little shredded today because this got broken in half. and I had a bunch of things I think I said that I don't remember saying, and things that I wanted to say that I don't remember now. But yeah, who decides whether or not you get to tell your story? Who are you going to go ask for a budget to tell your story? This is what I wanted to say. I love crowdfunding. I'm really happy about this because now I get to come to you guys directly. Otherwise, look, to publish my stuff, I had to go through Jew gatekeepers. And I don't want to share my profits of my work with any Jews ever. They're out to destroy my world, my way of life. They want to tyrannize white people. They want to destroy all white countries. So I want to keep my work in the family. I want to keep my profits, not that there are any profits, but what I really have is creative freedom. I don't have anyone telling me that my story needs more blacks or more gays or more transvestites. The world is fucked up right now, and if you don't take a stand against it and you just go with the flow, you're basically in the sewer. You got to get out of there. You got to get out of there. You got to build a kingdom by your own hand. Legacy of a Mad Scientist, Legend of Ashley Fox. 2 amazing science fiction fantasy books for you. We have a comic book in the description. Ashley Fox, The Last Valkyrie. This is Ashley Fox, Ninja Babysitter number 6. If 1 through 5 were never made. And we submitted this to a comic book company and they didn't pick it up. And I don't blame them because we couldn't have produced an issue a month. We would have had to take years to produce 6 issues and then they would maybe publish it. That's not a good deal for anyone. That's not the way to do it. So crowdfunding, I'm super excited about crowdfunding. I'm here to find my audience, the audience that wants to discover the kind of stuff that I write. Yeah. All right. Merry Christmas. Talk to you guys tomorrow.